your day is going well so far. My name is Carrie, and this is my sister Julie, and we are the founders of A Natural Shift. We come here every Wednesday to bring you a new health-related topic. And we've kind of been doing a fun little series on, not having enough time, not having enough money, different objections, I guess you could say, or maybe excuses you might think of why you can't live this type of lifestyle. And so we wanted to kind of share our tips on these because at one time or another, I'm sure that we have felt the same way for sure. Definitely with today's topic as well. It comes up a lot, healthy living on a budget, because you think, how am I going to live this lifestyle if I don't have enough money to buy X, Y, and Z? And I need to have it all at once, right? We think we want to have it all figured out right at one time, but lots of times that doesn't happen. Most of the time it doesn't happen. It really happens with the small changes that you make each and every day. So that's what kind of the approach that we're going to take. Little things that you can change that will save you money here and there, and really to think about investing in this type of lifestyle. Because it is an investment. It's an investment in your health versus going out and buying like a nice pocketbook or nice jeans or whatever it might be. I mean, we like those things too, but sometimes you might have to sacrifice in one area to kind of invest in another. So I love this topic. So let's dive right in. First of all, planning saves you a ton of time and money. There's a 2-for-1 tip. So I know we talked a lot about planning when we spoke about time recently on this broadcast. And if you wanted to go back and watch that, you can always look at the video section on our page, and you can find all the videos that we've done in that section. So go back and check that out if you did not watch that. But as far as budget goes, planning and prepping will save you a ton of money. Because if you think about it, knowing what's in your refrigerator, prepping it so it's easy to grab and easy to sort of manage your day-to-day life versus you having all this great food in there and none of it's prepped and you don't have a plan. It's a lot of times it does seem overwhelming, like, well, what am I going to do with all this? And then really the most expensive ingredient is the one that you throw in the trash and don't use. So we are both obsessed with never throwing anything away. So I suggest maybe you start having that sort of mentality. Anytime I buy something, I'm going to use this no matter what. So that kind of makes you look at things in a different light. Like, do I really need this? And is this the best choice? And am I definitely going to use this? So kind of go at this thinking about it in that way, because like I said, really it becomes a lot more expensive if you throw it in the trash. So planning your meals for the week is really huge, and just ensuring that you have everything on hand and that you don't get frustrated, but also just so that you buy the right things and the right amount of things. You don't buy too much or too little. It really does help with the budget-wise, but budgeting, sorry. So stick to your grocery store list. I can't tell my husband to do this because he'll just go in there and like buy whatever. He's not very good at this. Like, you spent twice the amount of money and you got stuff that we don't even need. So he doesn't go to the grocery store very often. For us, I usually go to the grocery store just because I'm always looking to see what's fresher and what's, in season or what's on sale, if it's on my list. So I just kind of look and compare a lot, but definitely stick to the list. Don't go to the grocery store hungry either. That's definitely going to bust your budget a lot of times as well. Don't buy things that you might not use. We kind of talked about that as far as having a plan. It's really important to make sure that you do buy ingredients that you are going to use. So if you think, well, I don't know, and this ingredient's kind of expensive, and even if a recipe calls for it, one thing that I like to do is think, can I replicate this? If I don't really need this ingredient, is there any way that I could use a substitute that would be less expensive and I already have it on hand? So that's a thing that I always like to look at in recipes is, can I substitute this, or just leave it out if it doesn't make, that big of a difference in the recipe. I know you do that too, Julie, right?
Oh, yes, for sure. And I mean, we talked about this last week. You can Google anything, like what's a substitute for brown sugar. I mean, let's just say, and just anything, you can find it on the web. It doesn't take 2 seconds.
I know. And people are like, how do you know all this stuff? And I'm like, I just Google it. Sometimes it seems so like you just don't think about doing that. Like, surely there's not a substitute for this, but I can just about guarantee you, if you type it in Google, something will come up. You might not have it, but there is a substitute. So next tip is buy more whole foods. So if you kind of skip the packaged stuff, that's going to save you money. It's also going to obviously increase your health, and just eating whole foods is so much better for us. But a lot of times packaged foods are more expensive because they are more so a convenience item. So if you are really on a budget, you're going to need to maybe sharpen up your kitchen skills. You're maybe going to spend a little bit more time, but you're going to save money. So it just depends. Do you need to save time or do you need to save money? And sometimes you can do both, obviously, but occasionally there's a convenience item that's just going to cost more, but will save you time. So just look at those type of things. But for the most part, staying away from the packaged items is really going to save you money. Stock up on items when they're on sale. This might seem a little bit duh, but sometimes we just don't think about that. And sometimes you can't. Like if it's, something that's refrigerated that's going to go bad or whatnot. But, some of your pantry staples, like beans or rice or, something like that are healthy foods for you, but you could stock up, especially if there's like a really great sale on a name brand that's maybe organic. It's a little bit more expensive. Just invest in 2 or maybe even 3 because they'll keep in the pantry. So I like to really do this, especially, I live kind of in the boonies. So when I go to Kroger or like Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, even places that I don't normally go to all the time, I'll often stock up. Julie, were you going to say something?
Yeah, one of the things that I like to stock up on too is, and we'll talk about meat in just a minute, but things like, especially chicken, like if you can get, a really good free range organic chicken and that's on sale, then things like that obviously freeze really well. So I like to,
that's true.
Make sure that I look for what is on sale in terms of meat, especially, and I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes, but
yeah. Great tip. I forgot about that. Freezer is your best friend when it comes to stuff like that, for sure.
Yes.
And you can always Google, can I freeze this? And it will tell you yes or no if you just are not sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great tip. Okay, so buy organic when you can. A lot of times that will save you money, especially if it's like a store brand. Like Kroger has a lot of good organic store brands. Some stores don't, but I know they do. And I'll often just get the generic versus the brand because you're going to save at least a couple dollars. Most of the time you're just paying for that name brand. Just check your labels, but most of the time if the ingredients are the same, you're going to be good to go and you'll save, and those add up. You might think, well, that's not that much money, but if you purchase a lot of them, it could save you $10, $20 or even more than that. So buy produce that's in season also. A lot of people like to shop at farmers markets, and I do too, but there's not really one in my area unless I were to go to a different city. So I don't always get to shop at farmers markets, but that's probably your best bet as far as you can get some deals there. You can often negotiate with the people and get the produce for cheaper. And that's a great probably first option. But if you're going to the grocery store, just try to buy things that are in season because especially something like berries, I often think of like the price fluctuates a good bit on those, depending on if they're in season or not. So just check that and try to, you're going to get a higher quality product if you buy in season. There's going to have more nutrients and more vitamins, minerals, all of that. It's going to taste better as well. So just look to buy things that are in season. Buying online. Oh my gosh. I have to buy online. No, I live in Cochrane. So there's just not that many resources here, that are close to me. Obviously we have Kroger, but I just love buying online because I usually buy all my bulk items as far as like things that don't go bad, rice, beans, sometimes like healthier chips, different options like that they don't even have locally, even at Kroger and places like, Julie lives in Warner Robin, so she has that local, but a lot of times they don't even have the ingredients that we're looking for. And you can get them cheaper. Even if they do carry a product like at Kroger, if you look on places like Thrive Market or Vitacost, they will often be probably at least $1 or $2 cheaper and even more than that. So it really does add up if you're looking to buy higher quality ingredients, which is really important. Some things don't necessarily matter, but other things, a lot of times they do, like organic or non-GMO or whatever it might be. Investing in that is going to be very beneficial. So buying online is something that I do a lot. And people are often like, well, how do you live in Cochrane? And, it's a very small town for those of you that don't know where Cochrane is. But how do you live this type of lifestyle when you live kind of in the boonies? This is exactly how I do it. I maximize my time when I'm at a bigger grocery store in another city, but I also buy online a lot. So think about that. And lastly, before Julie kind of dives into other information, cooking at home is absolutely like fundamental. You're always going to pay more if you pay for convenience. So if you go out to a restaurant, you're going to pay more. If you buy something in the grocery store that's pre-prepared, you're going to pay more. So just learning some basic cooking skills and just getting in there and trying different things is really key, because it does not take much time or energy and really thought to make some of these things to keep on hand, so that when you do make meals, it's just going to be cheaper and it's going to taste better and it's going to have less preservatives or whatever it might be. So that's always a win-win for me.
For sure. And like Carrie said, when you cook at home, not only is it good for your budget, it's good for your health, but you get to control the quality of the ingredients, the salt, the fat, like everything that's in it. You get to be in control of that, which is awesome. Okay, so a couple of things that I kind of want to like drive home that Carrie said, because they're so important. Don't throw anything away, y'all. Like, we are to the point that like sometimes our mom will come over and we'll have like little bits of stuff in the refrigerator, like a piece of a banana, half of an apple, half of an avocado. And she's kind of like, we're like, oh, we're going to eat that. Like, don't worry. We're going to
put it in something. We're going to eat it. I don't know. We're going to do something with it.
Like, yeah, don't throw anything away. We're going to also link to, I did a video on how to make pesto with the tops of your carrots. Sometimes you can buy the carrots that have the green tops still attached. And so we'll link to that video. So that's just one example of kind of use everything that you pay hard-earned money for, and that helps stretch your dollar really. And then also, Carrie did a great video on a frittata recipe where she used up her veggies that were in her refrigerator. And this is something that we both do this all the time. And it tastes so good. And it just makes me feel good when I know that, I'm saving money. I know,
like it really makes me excited. That might seem really like, God, you must live a boring life. But it's make me excited. I'm like, this tastes so good, and I know used up all the stuff I had. I'm like, yes.
Yes, for sure. And so we'll link to that recipe and video also that Carrie did, so you can kind of see how to pull that together really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, your freezer. We kind of just touched on this a little bit, but your freezer is like your best friend in terms of not only budgeting, but having things fast that you can grab out of. So a couple of tips. When we have leftovers, like let's just say I make barbecue and we've eaten it for a couple of days and everybody's really tired of the barbecue and nobody wants to continue to eat leftovers, and I still have some left. Y'all, that does not go in the trash, okay? All you do is you just transfer it to your freezer, and then you pull it out like a few weeks later, and then your family thinks that you just made this awesome fresh barbecue, and they don't even know that you pulled it out of the freezer. So, like, I do this all the time. So just any dinners that you have, that you didn't eat all of and nobody wants to eat the leftovers, freeze it. If you're not sure if it freezes well, like we said, Google it.
It might be a good thing. Like, comment below if you need help with like, how do I freeze stuff? How do I make sure it stays fresh, and how long is it good for? You can Google all these things, but it may be a good idea for us to kind of go over some freezing basics, I guess, just so that you would know kind of how to do that quickly.
For sure, because things like some of the dinners that you make, soups, stocks, freezing fruit that's going bad. I mean, y'all, especially bananas. Like I was at their house one time. This was a long time ago, and they had like this whole bunch of bananas, and they were like, I mean, do y'all want these? I'm just going to throw them away. I'm like, why are you going to throw them away? Well, they're about to go bad. I'm like, oh no, just like peel them and put them in your freezer. You can use them for smoothies or even like banana bread. Sometimes
defrost them. Mm-hmm.
Defrost them. So things like that can really save you money if you just know these tips and are just smart about it and freeze your stuff. So
yes.
Okay. Now I want to talk next about what the most important items are to buy organic. So let's say, you have a budget and you're like, well, sure, I'd love to get everything organic, but I can't really afford to do that. So I want to give you tips on where you need to really like allocate your dollars. Like, what is the biggest bang for your buck in terms of buying things organic and on a budget? So meat is number one. Y'all, it's so important really to buy grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, and from an organic source, because they fill, you guys I'm sure know this probably, they fill our meat and inject our meat that's not, grass-fed, organic, free-range, organic, with just junk. Like you would be surprised if you watch a documentary on this, it will make you literally sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
So just know that that's really important. That's the first step. And grass-fed beef actually has a lot higher levels of things like your omega fatty acids, which are your healthy fats. They have more antioxidants. Grass-fed beef also has lower levels of fat. And so it's really a more nutritious, food versus, just a conventional, not grass-fed meat or beef. And then your free-range chicken. So this is important. It's important for your chickens to be like just, roaming and pecking the ground. I mean, that's what they're supposed to do. That's, how God intended it, not for them to be cooped up and just, fed junk and injected with who knows what. Like those things are really important. So
I would really like to do another video maybe during this time on like why it's really important, maybe just all the meat sources, but definitely eggs, even though you might think like a dozen pastured eggs, maybe $3 more even sometimes. That might seem like a lot. That's like twice as much as the other. It's still the cheapest form of protein that you can get at a high quality. If you were to think about meat, meat just is expensive. So just think about that. We love to eat eggs and it's a great source of protein. And so why not spend, $2, $3, $4 even more dollars on a dozen eggs? It's really going to, give you the quality and it really does make a huge difference, especially in eggs.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's actually one of the things I think we'll talk about in a little bit in terms of budgeting, using eggs, because they're they're so budget friendly. Now, in terms of the chicken, this is another tip that I want to give you. If you buy a whole chicken, and we're going to link to the recipe here on how to make chicken stock. So save that chicken carcass, which sounds like a terrible word, like it's like gross, but just, the bones and everything of the chicken, that makes an amazing chicken stock. We'll put a link to that because it's so easy. You can make it in the crock pot, sit it and forget it, and then you freeze it and you have this delicious chicken stock that you use your chicken that you had already bought, you use the leftovers for it. So that's another really good,
I love that,
budget-friendly tip. Okay. Now, fish. When we talk about buying fish, you really, really want to make sure that you get wild-caught fish. Some forms of this, where we live, is a little bit harder to get. So I want to give you a couple of tips. It's kind of hard to get a wild-caught salmon around here. If you look at everything that they have displayed in, in the like seafood section, it will say something like has what am I trying to say? Artificial coloring. So usually like they've injected it with some type of coloring and it's not wild caught. It's farm raised. That's what you want to avoid. When you see something that says it's farm raised, you want to avoid that because what they do is they farm these fish and feed them a bunch of junk, like GMO food, basically. And what's happening when they feed that to the fish, then you eat the fish, all that gets right into your body. So you want to make sure you get wild caught. So one form I have learned, and I actually did a little bit of research on this, Publix actually carries it's in the frozen section, but it's called coho salmon, C-O-H-O. And even though that does not say wild caught on it, I did some research on it, and it basically says that all coho salmon, it comes from Alaska and that it is wild. So that's just an option for you if you can't find it, where you live. I just wanted to mention that because that's the best in terms of salmon that I've really been able to find around like where we're at. Mm-hmm. You can get, shrimp that's wild caught, tuna in the cans, and also salmon in the cans to make like salmon patties. Those are delicious. I mean, so good. And we have links on the website for those as well. So and we also have a great panko crusted salmon. I made this like 2 nights ago, and I'm actually going to eat it leftover for lunch today. It's so good. So we'll link to that recipe as well. And one more thing I want you to think of in terms of meat. Think of trying to just eat high quality meat, but a smaller portion, because really we don't need, big portions. About 4 ounces is really all you need per, serving. That's a healthy serving. Think of kind of meat on the side. So load your plate with more veggies and a little bit less meat. You're still getting some meat, you're still getting protein, but it's a high quality. And then you're really loading up and filling up on those veggies that have, a lot of fiber in them that help to keep you fuller longer.
Right. Okay.
So the second area to focus on is dairy. And this makes sense, dairy coming from cows, that you want to get the ones that have been grass-fed. So super important to get things like grass-fed butter. Kerrygold is a great brand that you can find pretty much anywhere. And if you're going to drink, cow's milk, then it's really best to get organic, because again, those cows have been, fed junk and injected with who knows what if, they're not grass-fed. But try to consider transitioning to a nut milk, like an almond milk or coconut milk. Cashew milk is great. Just make it a slow transition. Using it in smoothies, you really can't tell the difference. Putting it into something like a cereal, of course, you're going to be able to tell. But when my people eat cereal, they have come to be fine with almond milk.
Well, if you don't buy it, it's really not an option. So if they want milk on their cereal, they're getting almond milk.
Yeah, exactly. And then one more thing in terms of cheese, it's really cheaper to grate your own cheese, and it doesn't have those, the shredded cheese has those anti-caking agents on it, which is basically preservatives and chemicals. So think
of pulp or something.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Gross. And I think Carrie's going to talk about the next kind of most important area to allocate your budgeting dollars to.
So if you're thinking about healthy living on a budget, I know we talked about meat and the quality of meat, and that's all good, but you're like, well, what can I do if I'm like trying to eat more whole foods? Really, produce is what you're kind of going to be focusing on. And I get asked a lot, do I only eat organic? The answer is no. I always look at this list that I'm going to tell you. It's a clean 15 and dirty dozen. But I also just look at the quality of the ingredients, the produce, and see like which one looks better. I'm not always going to choose the organic if it doesn't look good and it's not fresh and it looks like it's already kind of going bad. I'm going to pick the conventional. And to me, and some people might not agree with that, but I feel like if especially where my kids are concerned, like they love fruit, especially my son. That's like one of the only sort of healthy things he's going to eat. He's just really picky at this age. And so I feel like if he's eating, even if it's conventional grapes or strawberries or whatever it is, it's better than eating chips or something from a box. I mean, at the base level, you have to think about that. So don't beat yourself up if you're like, I just don't have it in my budget to purchase everything organic. Just try to get, whatever looks best. And if you have it in your budget, get something that, maybe is on the dirty dozen so that it's going to be one of the more heavily sprayed produce items. And so you're going to come out better that way if you kind of focus on that list, especially if you're on a tight budget. So you can actually go ahead. Were you about to say something?
No, this may be what you were going to say. We're going to post that in the comments. But what I like to do, because I cannot remember every single item that's on the Clean 15 and on the Dirty Dozen, but I like to just keep a picture of it on my phone so that when I'm in the grocery store, just pull it up and go, okay, well, strawberries are number one on the list. So I pretty much don't buy strawberries unless I can get those organic, because I know that they're the most heavily sprayed with pesticides. Mm-hmm. But something like avocado, that's on the Clean 15 list. We're not eating this, the outside skin of the avocado. So I don't have to buy those organic. So I'm going to save money by not buying those organic. So just kind of use that as a guide to help you know where to kind of allocate your dollars.
Yeah. And I think there's an app too, if you wanted to get that.
Yeah.
Also, just try to think about money-saving meals. Like breakfast is a really cheap thing that you can do. Like, once every week, it's great to have a breakfast night. My kids love breakfast food anyway. Eggs are really inexpensive. We've already talked about that. The Frittata Recipe. Pancakes, we have a recipe for that on our website that's really great. It's super easy. Don't buy the box pancake mix unless you get something like that's a really higher quality one. You can totally make your own, and it's super easy. Pasta is another cheaper alternative, and you can get some better pasta options. We have an awesome recipe that Julie makes a ton. It's called Lemony garlic shrimp pasta. It takes like 10 minutes probably for the entire meal. And that would be a good thing to get the higher quality shrimp, but also do the pasta. It would be a great budget friendly meal that would be good for you.
Yeah, and that one, Carrie, I send that one with the kids to school in those thermoses. They love that leftover. That's like another thing that, again, that's saving money. You're eating leftovers.
Yeah, for sure.
Your kids, a warm meal. So
I know. Yeah. I'm waiting for the day where my kids will eat something like that for leftovers or even for a meal. So anyway, we're getting there though. Not giving up. So make enough for leftovers, obviously, is the next tip, because it's just, like Julie said, it saves money, it saves time. You can package that up all at the same time that night, so you don't have to worry about the next morning. Just saves time and money. Meatless Monday is another thing that a lot of people do to save money. Like they use beans or lentils or something like that for protein, and just have that one night as just they're not going to eat meat. And like we said, buying more expensive meat is going to be better for your health overall. But sometimes, obviously it's more expensive. So cutting that out one night is really going to help your pocketbook. And obviously it'll be healthy too, because you're using a great vegetarian recipe.
Yes, for sure.
Julie's going to go over just a real quick summary. And I love this conversation though. I feel like we could talk about this forever because there's so many different things you can use, little tips to save money. So I hope that you've enjoyed it today.
Yeah, for sure. And one other tip, you guys know that I shop at Kroger a lot, and there is an app, obviously they have a Kroger card, but there's also an app related to that you can download your card to, basically. And you can go through and you can search. They have coupons because, most coupons, if you've ever looked at it doesn't really have any of the healthy type foods in them. But if you go to that Kroger app and you just search Simple Truth, it will pull up all of the coupons for their Simple Truth brand. And they usually have they'll have, spinach that's 50 cents off. It adds up. If you're getting 50 cents off this product and that product. But that's what I always do. That's another really good way to save money. Okay, so in summary, you really don't have to break the bank to eat well, right? You can just, if you're smart about it, you don't throw things away, you allocate your dollars where it's most important, then you really can eat healthy on a budget. Things like, again, planning your meals, eating at home, making smart choices when you go to the grocery store, having your list, having a plan, and don't stray from that and start picking up all this other junk, because number one, it's going to cost you more money. Number two, when you get home, if you bought it, you're going to eat it. So I'm always if I can avoid buying it, then I'm good. Because when I get home,
exactly. Don't go to the grocery store hungry. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For sure. And also keep in mind that junk food, you're really paying for it twice, right? Because bad health comes with medical cost, comes with drugs you have to end up taking, and you're paying for it later on. If you're not investing in your health right now, you're going to pay for it later on. So you really can't put a price on good health. So just make sure that you're taking care of yourself, that you're, trying to incorporate some of these things, even though it might be a slow process. Pick one area. Maybe you want to start with your meat. Try to kind of transform that area and then build on that. I want to mention two other things. You've probably heard us talk a little bit about our wellness planning, which we're so excited. You can actually go to my Instagram page or even my Facebook page, and I posted a little bit of a story yesterday about a client that I worked with, and we had lunch together, and it was just amazing. This program is really to offer individual support and accountability in whatever area of wellness you feel you need support in. It could be in nutrition. It could be in adding more movement into your life, in fitness. It could be in natural tools and supplements like essential oils. We have you covered in all those areas. So please reach out to us if that's something that you're interested in. We'd love to help you decide, is this right for you or not? Next week, we're going to be off. We're both going to be traveling, so we will not be with you at this time next week, but we'll be back the first week of April with another health-related topic. And if you guys have a specific topic that you would like to see covered, then drop it in the comments, and I will definitely cover that on another week. So hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you in 2 weeks.